and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the book acquiring tag, and I was tagged by Vidania Silverscribe. So I've linked her channel down below, as well as all of the channels who I've tagged. So you might be tagged down there, so it's definitely worth looking at it, or just watching till the end and I'll tell you if I tagged you or not. But anyway, this is kind of a Q&A based discussion tag, which are honestly my favorite types of tags. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. I have scripted my answers this time. Because I have ADD, I tend to get off track, and therefore my answers are always back and forth and kind of muddled. So you will see me looking down because I did put thought into this one, and I kind of wanted to be able to reference my answers to this specific tag later on in the future. I thought it was worth my time to just be super thoughtful and kind of journal out the answers for each of these questions. So I'm going to be reading them to you, and hopefully I can read my calligraphy because there's definitely some places where letters kind of smudge together depending on how much ink the pen was giving. But I just started doing calligraphy, so it looks like this. And my goal is to fill out this entire journal by the end of the year. I have a habit of barely using my journals because I just feel like they need to be perfect. So this is my way to get out of that. I've got some simple spreads like this where it's just a pop of color and then the black ink. And then I've got ones that are a little bit more elaborate. But I'll wind up showing you what it looks like at the end of the month anyway, so I'm not going to do that right now. We're just going to go ahead and get into this tag. Number 1, do you plan your book purchases ahead of time or impulse buy? So I will tell you, I do a bit of both, and I have reasons for doing either way. So I like to spend money on books when I have extra money. So if it's following my birthday or Christmas or something like that, where I've just got some extra cash, it's not coming out of money that I've like earned from my job, then I'm going to go spend it. So in those cases, I'm going to shop places where I can buy several books at one time without going completely broke. So I have 2 spots that I like to do that. One of them is online at Book Outlet. That's where I can just go in, I can organize all of their listings from low to high and just start buying any book that looks cool. And then the other one is to go to Half Price Books, which I have the old town where I lived, they had one. So I'll drive down there and I'll go through all of the bookshelves and grab which ones I want. Then if I really want to go out of my way, I can go down to Nashville to a store called McKay's, which is also where they like buy back books. So whenever I get rid of a bunch of books, I go down to McKay's and then I usually pick up some with store credit. So those are kind of the 3 places I go if I'm in the mood to impulse buy. But for the most part, I've stopped impulse buying. So even when it comes to ebooks, I get a daily email from BookBub, and I will purchase all of the free books if they're in genres that I'm cool with, and I avoid the ones that cost money because generally at some point the author is probably going to put them on sale, and I'll know because I'll get that email from Book Outlet. I am a penny pincher. Y'all might look at these shelves and be like, man, she has invested thousands of dollars on these books. And yeah, I mean, in a grand scheme, it's probably true. But I have had 3 times this amount of books on my shelves before. And I have unhauled like 1,000 books at this point that I didn't read. So I've really culled down. Yes, this is like the culled down version of my book. And I've been pretty good about not picking up stuff unless I know that I'm really interested. And I've been resisting pre-ordering books. I've gotten a lot better. And we're going to get into that later on. But for the most part, I only impulse buy maybe 3 times a year or like once a quarter. Sometimes this is my way to manage depression. It's just like going out and getting a haircut. It feels really good when you do it. And the high of that lasts for about 2 weeks. and then it goes away and you're back to your depression. So it's just a band-aid, but it's okay. Like, I can manage it. We'll get into this more later. I think it definitely can become an issue, but again, that will be addressed later. If I'm just out and I'm killing time, like say I want to go to a movie after a doctor's appointment, but the movie's not playing yet, then in that case, I might go to Barnes& and Noble because it's the only bookshop other than the half-price books. And I know that I can get new, good quality books there. And of course, they have a bigger selection of new releases than they're going to have at the half-price books across the street from it. So usually I go in there either just to browse and look at all of the books in general, or I will have a specific genre that I'm looking for. So maybe I want to read an adult book. So I'll pay more attention to the adult section. Or maybe I want to read a classic. So I go to all of their cute little classics that they have and I pick up something from there. But yeah, I don't tend to go mindlessly into places, and I can walk away from Barnes and Noble without buying anything. It's rare, but I have done it. And then if I'm going online other than to Book Outlet, because Book Outlet is so cheap, then I am going with the intent to purchase a specific book. I am not getting on Amazon to browse, because you will rack up so much money in your cart, and then you're going to be like, oh, well, I took all this time picking out these books, so I might as well buy them. So I don't do that. Also, I don't really pre-order books anymore, unless if it's an indie book that I know I'm going to read and the author's not going to be doing a sale anytime soon, or they've already got it at like $2.99. I'll just go ahead and pre-order the sucker. And then even with books that are coming out, if it's part of a series where I'm ready for it, I'll go ahead and I'll pre-order that book. But I've gotten better about, if I'm not ready to read the book, I can wait. So for instance, I have Aurora's Rising and the second book in that series, but I haven't bought the third one yet because I had to wait a whole year for the paperback to come out. And I still haven't read the first two books because I was waiting. So I'm just going to wait to buy the third book until I'm almost done with the second one. So I'm just holding on to my money a little bit later, even though I know, I know Amazon's going to get my coin for that book. But yeah, I go there with intent so that I don't break the bank, because it could be super easy to do. And I tend to only buy books directly like that from authors I've already read from before. So it's usually books in series, or it's the newest book release from a favorite author. As far as regular spending with books, I do have a book of the month subscription. So I will tend to get anywhere from 1 to 3 books a month off of that. But I also skip months if I don't like any of the books, which has happened sometimes 3 to 4 months in a row. So it all kind of evens out to about a book a month. And that's also helped me to curve my impulse buying, because every month I know I'm going to get something cool. And also my adult collection is very, very small. So 90% of my adult books are Book of the Month books. And I just started doing that September of last year. So very slow growing collection. I don't feel bad about picking up a book from an author I've never heard of through Book of the Month, because all of my reading experiences with them have been a success. They've been 5-star reads. Are they proven to be wonderful editors and stuff at picking out books? I don't know yet, because only having read like 3 of them, I don't think that's enough, even though they've all been 5 for 5. We'll wait until I've read like 20, and if all 20 of the Book of the Month books are 5 stars, then we can say, yes, they are great at picking out books, and I'll just start buying all of their books. But anyway, moving on to question number 2. How do I decide what books to buy? Okay, so I kind of already went over that. So I'm just going to read off what I have on my little cheat sheet here. So I am low on adult books, which I just told y'all. So I get a Book of the Month subscription. They narrow my options, and I pick the ones in the genres I think I'll like most. I also buy series continuations, books from authors I've liked before, or hyped books with pretty covers because I'm a bit of an art collector. Art collection, the art being book covers, if they're really pretty. I won't be as mad if they suck, maybe, because they're so pretty. Get to look at them for a while and enjoy them like an art piece. Oh, man. Number 3. What is your philosophy on where you shop online versus in person? Large versus small, physical, digital, or audio, new versus used. So I am going to read this off word for word because it's going to be easier for me to not just go off the wall with my answers. So I shop wherever it's cheapest. That's just the truth of the matter. So if I want a new book, I go to a store like online, or if it's already out and I'm not pre-ordering it, then I'll go to the actual place if I'm in town and I'll just pick it up. If I am fine with like a used copy and a small selection of books to pick from, then of course I'll go to like your half-price books or just used bookstores. I only buy from indie shops when they are hosting an event for an author who's going to be signing books. So I will pay $21 for a hardback book if I am driving to go to this event, sit there for an hour, the author's taking their time to tell us about their book, and then I'm going to stand in line to get the book signed. It's a nice thing to do considering that, you know, the authors need to get book sales in order for those events to keep happening, or the publishers won't think it's worth investing money to get their author to go there to do the event. So it's great to support indie shops. I think that if you are financially capable of buying all your books from indie shops, then that is great. But I don't have the money to be spending $21 per book. I read too much to do that. And especially if I don't know with like certainty that I'm absolutely going to love that book, I'm not going to be spending that kind of money. I'm just telling you the truth. Everyone wants to say support indie, but there is a amount of privilege that comes with that, and that is financial privilege that I do not have. So I shop wherever is cheapest. It's great to support your indie shops, but I'm not the one who's going to be the biggest patron because they're out of my way. They're way more expensive. I can get it cheaper somewhere else. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just being salty and honest with you, okay? Oh, man. Okay. So if there is a pre-order incentive that is attached to an indie shop, then I might buy it from the indie shop. So one of the authors that's really good at doing this is Beth Revis. She has a local shop, so she does a lot of incentives with them where you might get like a character card, or it's like a special cover or something like that. Same thing with book boxes. Like if they're going to have you some kind of special edition of the book with a whole bunch of goodies, then it might, it'll nudge me in the direction of maybe spending money I don't have in order to acquire that book. But I try to be a penny pincher because I don't have no extra money. Me and my husband just bought a house. We have expenses, so we don't have disposable income. Oh, my. Okay, so for formats, I go with ebooks for indie, again, because they're the cheapest. Now, the exception is if they are my favorite author who's an indie, I will pay for their paperbacks. So I've only done that with one author. That's Kate Marie, who is also my editor. But yeah, she's awesome. She writes fantasy, fairy tale retelling-esque stuff like that. She also has some contemporary novels that really pull at the heartstrings. I know that I want those books. I want them physically. I want to be able to hold them up in videos and talk about them. I want to be able to take pictures of them, promote them. I would sit at her book table and try to sell her books. I am a fan. I am a fan of Kate Marie. So, yeah, otherwise, I will also buy physical copies of indie books when I go to meet the person. So if I go to an author event and they're an indie, I will sometimes get the book. Now, their books are a bit more expensive because they're more expensive to print, because they are like a print on demand type deal. So it is going to be a couple bucks more than if you're getting a paperback from a trad pub, just because that's how the printing works. Indies have to charge $15 for the print books, or they're not going to make any money on them at all. And then what's the point of having the print book? So a lot of times I will get the $4.99 ebook because it's going to be less coming out of my pocket, but also the royalty, the amount that they're going to get back from that $4.99 is about the same as the physical copy. So I'm not doing them any injustices by going for the cheap route. So don't feel bad if you like indie books and feel like you have to purchase all the paperbacks. Here I am as an indie author telling you, go ahead and buy the ebook. It's really all the same difference, and it's going to help the authors rank more since you get less physical sales and they are considered as separate products on Amazon. So just go for whatever suits your wallet the best, and that's going to be great. So for traditional books, I continue however I start because I want my books to match. Does this always happen? No. Why? Because I'm cheap. So if I see that I can get a discounted book that's $4, maybe I had the first one in the series, I had a hardback, and this book never goes on sale, and I find the paperback for $4 somewhere, then I'm probably going to go ahead and buy that paperback and save half the money I would have to spend to get a new one in hardback. So I will go ahead and I'll probably do that. I don't always do that, but sometimes I will bend and I will let my books not match. And I will tell you, it is a hard thing to do because I do have OCD and it does drive me nuts. But yeah, so I tend to go paperback if I am patient enough to wait. So like, let's say I'm hopping on the bandwagon late. Everyone's already read the book. The paperback has already come out. Then I will probably buy the paperback and then wait for the subsequent paperbacks to come out again. Why? Because I'm cheap. A long ranty video. I'm only on question number 3, but like I'm having so much fun just laughing about my answers. So hopefully y'all find it entertaining. Oh my. Okay, so if I go online and I'm getting a used copy, I'm probably going to go with a hardback just because it is more likely that the hardback is going to be in better condition than the paperback. Not always true, but it's harder to have like spine damage and stuff like that on a hardback. Paperbacks can easily get tears, or people just like really cracking the spine to where it's like got the little white lines in between. And also getting library copies. I absolutely detest when someone puts their condition on there as being very good and it's a library copy. If it's a library copy, you need to put it under acceptable, because I don't think anyone would choose to have a library copy with like the author's little initials on the sides and the plastic all over it if they had an option. I'm just saying, don't be putting like new or very good if it's a library copy. Make it acceptable. Be more truthful to your people so that they're happy with you. If I see like new, I expect it to be where I literally cannot tell that it is not a new book. That's what like new means. Very good. Very good. Should pretty much mean the same thing. Like I might see a little dot on the bottom of it where they tried to like sell it at one of the cheaper stores like Books A Million or something like that. But I'm still expecting there to be no wear and tear, no highlighting, no dog earring, nothing. Otherwise, you know, if there's dog earring, but that's it, it's just dog earring, no writing, nothing like that in it, you can put it under good. Maybe it's got the cracked spine thingy. Okay, maybe it's got a little bit of bin. Okay, but library editions, you better be putting them suckers under acceptable, because I am going to be PISSED if I get a library copy and it didn't tell me that I was getting a library copy. Now, if I'm getting it for 1 penny, I might go ahead. Like I said, I will make myself, my mental self, unhappy by getting that 1 penny library edition. But I will make my pocket happy. So, there's just a little bit of a balance you got to weigh there. But I want to be able to make that decision. And you lying and saying that it's very good when it is a library edition. You liar. Pockets on fire. Anyway, I think we can move on to the next question, can't we? All right. I promise I haven't had no alcohol. This is just how I am, and most of the time I get like this and I'm all over the place and I just delete the video and y'all don't see it. But today I'm just like, screw it. Screw it. We can have an hour-long tag video with me laughing the whole time and ranting. Hopefully y'all like it. I've been told that my laugh is contagious, so I hope I'm giving y'all some good vibes and y'all laugh till you pee yourself. How about that? Just don't pee around me. I don't want you in my seats like that. But anyway. Number 4. Oh my. What do you think about little free libraries? Have you used one? Why or why not? Yes, I say libraries. I say libraries. I don't put no R after the B. It ain't no library. It's a library. Library. Oh man, I'm having too much fun. If y'all didn't know I was Southern, you do now. I gotta stop or I'm gonna wet myself. I about breached with that one, but it didn't quite happen, but it came close. Anyway. Oh man, I haven't even had that much sugar, y'all. I had a bag of green gapes. Oh man, I had a bag of green grapes for breakfast. And then I went to the eye doctor because I've been seeing spots since Thursday, and I've had floaters and everything in front of my eyeballs. She did a little puff in each eyeball, and then she took me back there, and she had to dilate my eyes. And the dilating stuff burns. It burns. Anyway, so my eyes were dilated. So I was wearing those little funky shades they give you. And I went to the mall. And I went to my favorite spot in the mall. It's got Japanese food. It's got these orange looking noodles, bourbon chicken, and spicy potatoes. And I have them load the food with the sauce. So maybe they added something to it today. I don't know. I doubt it. And I had root beer. Root beer was very good, but root beer's not alcoholic, so I'm telling y'all, this is just how I am. I crack myself up. You just gotta do that. You gotta crack yourself up. Anyway, where were we? Little free libraries. Yes, libraries. I'm just gonna own it, okay? That's how I talk. I say libraries. Oh, man. So I think they're awesome. I haven't used them because I have access to the actual library. And I don't think the selection would be that great in the little libraries. I also would not want to take the good ones Cause if I open that thing up and I see something good, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. And so I wouldn't want to do that and take all the good ones away and leave the crappy books for the people that really need access to little free libraries. Because like, okay, so I've got a great library in my town. They even have like whole shelves inside the place where you can check out a book even if you don't have a library card. You can even take it home with you and just keep it. They have a whole shelf, like several shelves with mass paperbacks where you can just walk in and grab. It's kind of like a take one and then replace it deal, but it doesn't really matter if you replace it or not, but most people do. And then they have another shelf that's out front where those books are not put into the library system. It's just books that either the library is taking off the shelf or someone's read it and they didn't like it, so they leave it on the shelf. You come in, you can grab that book and take it. That one is more of a like kind of, if you take one all the time, then be putting some back on the shelf for other people to grab. That's generally what I use, is that little rack. So I've taken several books from there. I got Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda over here. I was so happy because I had the ebook, but I didn't have the physical book. So I grabbed that one off of that shelf for free. But I've also put several on the shelf for other people to take, including ones that I really enjoyed. So there have been ones that I've literally taken from that shelf. I read it, I enjoy it, I review it, I talk about it. If I know I'm not going to reread it, I put it right back on the shelf so somebody else can read the book. So yeah, I think systems like that are great, but little libraries in particular are really good for people that do not have any transportation. So even though, yes, the library is free, if they cannot get there because they can't walk there, but they might be able to walk to one of the little free libraries. And there's a couple that are throughout my small town, and it is a small town, but I know where two of them are at. And I'm sure there's more, because they used to have a vehicle where they would go around and they would actually make house visits to check out books to people that couldn't come to the library. So they're very good about doing stuff like that. But yeah, so I've been curious about it. I just haven't actually used it for myself. I have thought about leaving my own books in there, like books that I've written, because I think that would be kind of cool to just like give someone a free book and you don't even know who's going to wind up with it. I think that's kind of fun. So I will probably use it at some point, but I'll wait until tax season. So if I don't sell books that I've already bought, my stock, then you're not supposed to claim it as goods if you don't actually sell them. It's like the inventory is just kind of a loss. Then I can do something like that and just donate. Anyway, like, where was I? Okay, we're ready for question number 5. A good 28 minutes into this, we're ready for question number 5. How do you feel after acquiring a book? Do you share it in like a book haul or a diary? So getting a book gives the thrill of being bad. I use that description for a lot of things. Like going through a fast food driveway makes me feel bad. Getting a book makes me feel bad. Not bad like I'm doing something evil or bad like depressed, but bad like I know it's not a necessary expense, so I like the feeling of it. It's probably the same feeling that a kleptomaniac gets from stealing stuff, except for I'm not stealing anything, I'm purchasing stuff that I know I probably shouldn't be purchasing because I don't have expendable income. So it's like, you don't need to be doing this. But also, like, I didn't grow up with a bunch of money either. So I might get like $30 from a birthday from all the people that like come to my party, and I would stretch that $30 for like 4 months so that I could go to the mall with friends, and I would buy like a $1.29 bag of Oops cookies, the little broken ones. I would do that, or have like something off the dollar menu. Like I knew how to stretch a dime. So now it's like anytime it's if it's frivolous spending, I get that feeling that I feel like people who steal get, and that's why they do it. It like gives them a high. Now, I'm just assuming because I haven't actually ever stolen anything. So to me, but it is like, if you know those cookies gotta last for a week and you go in there and you have half a sleeve of the cookies, you're being bad, you're being naughty. And I'm just like, every once in a while, it's good to feel naughty. It was the same thing when I was like super depressed and I was like, I'm going to go get a piercing and I'm going to like chop my hair off. I'm just going to do some stuff. And I would. There have been moments where I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go chop off all my hair. I just like to do stuff every once in a while that's impulsive. And that's really what it is. It's like giving into an impulse. And you feel kind of good when you do it, even if you know you shouldn't have gave into the impulse. Yeah, that's how I am sometimes. So anyway, yeah. So getting a book gives me the thrill of being bad, since it's not a necessary expense. I also like filming them to share my excitement. Plus, it's easy content. Let's just be honest here. But I will say that, like, the high from that, it fades pretty fast, which we're gonna get into, I think, in this next question. So number six. I'm laughing because I was like number 6, and I was like number 6, sex, SCX. Anyway, hide your kids. All right, number 6. How do you feel looking at your books that haven't been read? Does it matter if it's a lot or a little amount? Okay, so if my TBR were small enough to read all of the books in a year, I think I'd be more excited. So currently I have so many that I kind of wish someone would just give me all the money that I paid for them back and I could start over. Yeah. So I used to have like 1,500 books at one point. This was several years ago. I was like literally a hoarder then. And not just like just books being like, it was like messy hoarder. Very much so more controlled. No, nothing like that. Like I would be so anxious and like cry if people were telling me they were going to come over because I needed more than 24 hours to prepare. Like I literally, it was like disordered. Yeah. That was pre-medication, and I have OCD, and I think that hoarding sometimes can be linked with that. Anyway, things were just very overwhelming. There was too much around me, so I got rid of like 500 books at once. And then I moved, and then I got rid of like another 500 books. And now I've gotten better about not acquiring so much. So for the whole year, and including what I expect to get for Christmas, it will probably be around 80 books for the year, which I know sounds like a lot of books still. But if you are comparing that to what it had been in the past, like those 1,500 books that I had been within like a 4-year period. Like it was a lot. And yes, I was doing it in a way that wasn't being a lot of money, but also I would do like book boxes and stuff that are $50 a pop. And I had like 6 book boxes going at once, and I was just putting everything on a credit card that I'm still paying off. So like book buying can be a big problem. And if you see yourself going down that route, then you definitely want to rethink it because it's not healthy. But anyway, so yeah, when I had like 1,500 books, it was very stressful. I had to organize them in a way so that it would be less daunting even now. So back then I had everything double stacked, and I had to do this like this type of stacking where you've got like 2 that are horizontal and then you got like 5 in the middle just to fit the books. And then there were some that still wouldn't fit on the shelves. Now I can stack things like straight across for the most part. Not fully because I have acquired some books, so I've got a couple places on my bookshelf. But this is like the standalone section right here. But the rest of the books, until you get to this bookshelf where the series have more than 4 books in them, so that goes from there all the way down to there, then all the rest of these are standalones. And most of them are still the single horizontal at vertical. Yeah, so it's pretty good. And then our red ones are stacked like like that too, where it's, I'm having to do the creative stacking in order to fit everything, but that's fine because I've already read them. So it's less daunting. I really like that I can have them vertical now. It doesn't feel like as much, but it also fills up the space of my shelf, so I don't feel like I need to just fill the emptiness wherever there is emptiness. So I'm happy with it. And I also made it less daunting. This is why you see some of them with this, where you see the spine, and some of them where you only see the pages. The reason why I do that is because the ones that where you only see the pages means I cannot pick up that book yet. I have to read something before it. So by turning it around, it's like, okay, it's still there, but I'm not seeing it constantly and being reminded of the burden of having to get through like 6 books in that series. I'm only thinking about the one book that I need to go into next. That's it. And then when I get done with that book, I'll move it to my red shelf, and then I'll turn around the next book in the series so that I know that that's an option. So that's how I do that. It is way less stressful having it like this, where you're only seeing what you can literally grab and read right at that moment, rather than having everything sticking out, and then you kind of, like, books get lost. Your eyes just skim over them like they're not there anymore. All right. Number 7, how do you decide what number of unread books is the right amount? So, I think it is good to unhaul every few months to manage stress. I think it feels like a weight being lifted off when you do get rid of books, when you have such a big collection like this. Also, it's you learning your taste more. So maybe you impulse bought based off of what you'd heard other people on BookTube talking about. And then after 6 months, that thrill of having that familiar book in your hands, it's not so thrilling anymore, and it's more of a burden. And so you just get rid of it. So it feels good to get rid of those books that maybe you don't want to read as much. I think that the max is what can fit in one room on the shelves you have, and only keep books you still want to read. So I have 6 shelves in here. 6 6-foot tall shelves. That is a lot. I'd say I have around 700 physical books. Again, it used to be a lot worse, and if I'd never unhauled anything, it would have been over 2,000 books by now. But I did massive unhauls. I've even done like a 200 book unhaul since moving into this house in March. So I regularly get rid of stuff. I've gotten better with letting go. Still not fully there, but I've gotten better. And also just managing not acquiring so many books. Then you don't have to get rid of anything if you stop acquiring them. You can focus on what you've got. But yeah, I think that 6 shelves is plenty. Now, if it were the case that I had 6 shelves and I had read all of those books, then of course, like, it's fine to want to get more books because I've read everything. And I think at that point, what I would do is I would probably have something set up in the garage when I finally clean the thing out, because I haven't touched it since moving in. So it's like a whole second house in the garage right now. But I would probably set something up in there where it just has my read books. And then if I fill up these shelves with books that I haven't read, that's fine. But also, I put on here that I think 50 unread books at any given time would be a good number. And the reason why I say that is because I like having new things, and I'm not spending money on other stuff. So other than out to eat and books, I literally do not spend money on other things. I don't buy new clothes. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't care about those things. Every once in a while, I'll be impulsive and I'll go out and get makeup, and you've only seen me wear makeup on this channel like once, because again, I don't really care. It's just I like colors. So sometimes I will go out and I will buy makeup that I'm never going to wear, and I don't know where my makeup brushes went. But anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, 50 I think is good, because as of right now, I read so many books. So if you took away all of the audiobooks and ebooks and only focused on my physical books, I think I could read 50 a year comfortably. So to have that amount on my shelf would give me the security of, like, if the world shuts down again and they close down the library and all the bookstores go away because of something ridiculous, where we're all just shut in, then I have enough books to get me by. I'm not going to feel antsy, so I've got new stuff, but of course I've also got the stuff that I've already read. But I also don't feel overwhelmed, like I can never acquire anything new, because I can legitimately finish those books that are on my shelf in a reasonable time to justify being able to get new books. So, I think 50 for me is a good number as someone who has read over 160 books. So I would say like a third, maybe, of whatever you can read per year would be a good number, and don't really go over that because it might lead to stress for you. It's different for everyone, but usually you don't find out what's too many until it's too late. So I would rather have too little than too much in this scenario. Because you can always reread. You can always reread. And I never do. And it's sad. I think next year I want one of my goals to be that I'm like constantly rereading stuff. So I think that will help a lot with some of my stress. Anyway. Yeah, and having a lower amount will help me not feel so guilty for getting books from the library or neglecting certain books on my shelves. Number 8, do you have a TBR game or process for reading your books? So I do have a TBR game every now and then, but I don't like to feel too boxed in. I'm also strategic with which books to ignore for now and which to prioritize. So as far as TBRs go, like if I've already started a series, then I kind of want to be making my way toward the end of that series. But I've also noticed that I don't really want to read book 1 in a series and then the next month read book 2 in the series, even if I really enjoy the book. It just feels like there's not enough variety in that. And I'm starting to accept that I need a couple of months in between, and that is okay. So there could be a book I'm really enjoying, but mentally I might want to wait 6 months or 4 months before I read the next book. And even though that's maybe not the most efficient way to get through with series, I am learning that because I am not neurotypical, I don't need to be boxing myself into the neurotypical definitions of what makes sense, because it doesn't make sense for my brain, and that's okay. Do what is best for your brain and don't let anyone tell you differently. Number 9. Oh yeah, so strategic. How have I been doing it? So yeah, the series thing, or knocking out authors, or if something is popular at the time, read it, give it a little bit more priority so that your content will be watched more if you have that book, rather than if you wait 6 months from now and no one cares about that book anymore. Readathons is another way to prioritize, so if it fits a prompt, then you can do it that way. There's so many ways to kind of narrow your selection and do that on a monthly basis, but I'm also, again, learning that doing things the strategic way that makes sense doesn't necessarily suit my brain. So I'm really trying to break the habit of thinking that way and having to prioritize certain books over another. So another thing with that is like not starting new series. I've pretty much forced myself this year, for the most part, to not start new series. I've started a few that I haven't finished yet, but not many. And there's certain series that are on my shelves that I've been wanting to read since I got them, and I just keep putting them off because there's so many series that I've started and haven't finished. So again, I'm trying to work my way out of that, and I will probably have a whole video discussion toward maybe the beginning of the year, when I've given myself some time to really think it over and analyze and decide how I want to move forward. Number 9. Do you have a book buying problem? If so, what is the nature of it? And can it be adjusted? So I will get into this. Maybe this even deserves a whole video by itself. So if you want to know more about any of the answers to this, you want more explanation, like a full deep dive type thing, even if you want to do like a live show discussion on it, let me know. I'm willing to do content that y'all are interested in, even if there's only one of you who asked for it. It's totally fine. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to entertain and talk about books. So I'm here to service you, not just myself, if that makes sense. So if you have any requests for content, just leave me a comment, okay? It's not like there's so many of y'all that I can't do what you want me to do. You know what I mean? If there was like thousands and thousands upon y'all and I was being bombarded with requests, then I would understand how that would be stressful. I would understand that. But I don't think that y'all are going to overwhelm me, so don't feel like you can't request specific content. Go for it. Even if it's a certain book that you want me to review, like, do not feel like a burden by asking. I still have the ability to not do it. You know, like, I have autonomy. If I don't want to read a book and review it, I won't. But, like, if you do have anything specific, let me know. I don't think that I'm going to get overwhelmed, even if every single one of you requests something. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. So, if that changes, I will let you know and tell you I'm overwhelmed. All right. The answer to this one is very long, so I'm just going to read it word for word so that I don't leave anything out. We've kind of touched base on some of this in previous answers, but I'm just going to roll with it. So, I used to be a book hoarder. It's not funny, but I laugh, but it's not funny. But I'm not now. I try not to overspend or have frequent sprees. I only do those if it's a birthday haul or like after Christmas when I've got extra money from people to spend. I can wait a long time to get a book, and I only have one book box now, which is the book of the month. I'm not having to use a credit card to get books. I also eat out less and don't make other unnecessary purchases. So I've reduced the number of books I'm acquiring, and I have increased the amount I have been reading, and I've also been focusing more on books that I do own, which I do want to continue to be a priority, because I think that that's important to read books that you have. Don't just have them sitting on a shelf like art pieces. Like, actually read them. Because that's the way that they're gonna give a lot more to you than a pretty cover if you actually read the content. That's what I'm getting at by that. There's nothing wrong by just if you buy books because you like to collect the artwork that's on them and that's what brings you joy, then there is no shame in that. But recognize that that's what you're doing. That's all that I ask. But if you want to be more than an art collector, and you want to be a book collector, then read the books. So I don't want to just be collecting art. I want to be collecting experiences, if that makes sense. Alright, and art can be an experience too, but it's different. You can have both. I want to have both. I want to have the art, and I want to have the experience of reading the book. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so I said I still need to rein it in a little because I do have some of those impulse, and I don't think every time I get money I need to spend it on books. But it's no longer the addiction it once was. I think addiction is a very strong word, and at that point it was an addiction. What constitutes an addiction, people? When it is interfering with your life, if it's interfering with your work, if it's interfering with family, if it is causing negative consequences to you, and it becomes something that is hard for you to control, you're like emotionally attached to it, and it's not a healthy thing for you to be doing, then that to me constitutes an addiction. And the fact that I was probably putting like $150 a month on credit cards for book boxes because they had cool little trinkets that came with the books and everyone was doing it, so I was like, I might as well too. Yeah, that's an addiction. That's not healthy. So, yeah. I did not grow up with money. So now it is like my way of saying, you're worth it. Like, you work hard, you should be able to get these things. And I feel like it's fine to think that, like, because you work hard, you deserve to be able to do what everyone else does. You deserve to be able to buy all the new books and put them on your shelf. And it's like, yes, that would be great. You do work hard. There should be that equalness, that fairness. Like, I feel like everyone should have that privilege where effort should equate to your gains. If you're putting in the effort, you should be getting back an equal return. That's not the way the world works, and it sucks. It sucks. But again, just because you feel like you deserve something, it could be negative for you to have it. So, if you don't got the money, you don't get the money. Is basically what I'm getting to with that. Because you're just digging yourself into a financial hole. And again, if you're digging yourself into a financial hole, let's say you're using a credit card with $100 a month you're spending on books with a credit card. Well, that credit card for most people, even with a good credit score, is like 24% compound interest. So then you're paying your minimum payment, which is going to be your taxes on everything. So for 1 month, that $100 has become $124. $124 that you're having to pay on that 100. And then the next month, guess what? If you don't pay it, another 24 gets added. It's just a never-ending game. Don't ever get a credit card. I will tell you that. Just don't do it. Don't do it. If you don't have one, you can't spend money you don't have. So just don't get a credit card. Credit cards are evil. I'm just saying, I knew that before I got mine, and I shouldn't have got mine. I got it to do Mary Kay. That is why I got my first credit card, to do Mary Kay. I wanted to be Ruby status starting out, and they talk you into spending all this money. That's how they make their money, is just roping people into joining them and telling them that they need to have all the products on hand. And then they get money for you getting a credit card and spending like $2,400 on products. It is stupid! Okay, so don't do it. Don't do what I did. Okay? Oh, because once you get one and you've got that 0% interest for a year, you're gonna add everything to that credit card because you think you're gonna make it back, and then you don't. So just learn it from my mistakes as a 32-year-old. Learn from me. Don't do these stupid things. Okay, anyway, where was I at? I put, it's natural to want riches, but instead, it's natural to want riches. Instead, I have a book collection. I think it also stems from wanting a connection, and impulsivity stemming from my ADD. And it is a band-aid for depression. I improve a little each year, which is good. I think you should always celebrate your wins, even if other people wouldn't consider cutting down your book buying to less than 100 books in a year. If that is a significant change for you, then celebrate your wins because you're doing great. Just constantly be trying to improve your habits so that they suit your needs and that you're happy. And if you're not happy, then change something about what you're doing. And that's what I've been doing for like the past 4 years. It's an ongoing process. Like I said, it had gotten into the addiction territory. And I'm sure any addict will tell you, like, you're always going to be an addict. It's always going to take time for you to recover from that. Even if you don't give into it ever again, like, those thoughts are still something that you battle with. And you have to tell yourself, like, if I go, and I've done this a few times, I'll go and I'll put everything in a cart just to see how much it would be. And then I close the tab. And I don't check out. I just close the tab because I know it's too much and it will make me feel good in the moment, or I'll feel really crappy when it hits my credit card. So, we're just having a little heart-to-heart, or what people call a come-to-Jesus moment on here. So, hope y'all appreciate my honesty. If you have made it this far, leave me some colorful emoji. I don't care what the emoji is. It can be a flower, it can be a rainbow, a book stack, anything colorful. That'll make me smile. Colorful emojis. So just send me colorful emojis. And yeah, so now it says to tag 2 or 3 others to ponder their book buying process. Yeah, let me tell you, I did not stop at 2 or 3. I honed it in. I started with like 2, and then I was like, but this person has a big collection. I'm interested in knowing what they have to say. And this person has a big collection. So it may have gotten a little out of hand with the tagging, but yeah, I'm tagging y'all people anyway. So I'm going to be tagging another bibliophile reads. I will be doing your tag that you tagged me in very, very soon. So I already have plans to do that. It is in the works. It is in the works. I'm also going to be tagging Dusty Book Sniffer. And both of these people are actually hosts. I think most of the people I put on here are hosts. 2 of them are not. But for the I Read Dead People book club. So y'all should just go ahead and get a head start in subscribing to all of their channels. So yeah, next up is going to be Kelly Reads a Lot. And then My Bookshelf, Monty B, and Mama Needs to Read Romance. And last, but certainly not least, Castle Library. I have been watching her channel forever, so I already kind of know a little bit about her buying habits and how she will nix a book off her shelf like that. If she reads it, it's a 3-star, and that sucker is gone. And then she's got like a new stack of books to put on her shelf. So she's constantly acquiring books. But it doesn't stress her out. It actually makes her happy. And because she's constantly replacing, it's just her cycle. And like I said, you got to do what works for you. Just be very, very careful if you do feel like you are having some of the same issues that I was having, where it's legitimately come a problem where it is like an addiction. I am not an addiction therapist, so I could be totally off base on if it constitutes an addiction or not. Like if there's actually like a brain change that occurs that makes you want to do that thing over and over again. I also have OCD, so it could just be that it feels like that for me. I don't know, but that is the word I'm going to use, because that to me is just anything negatively affecting your life that you feel like you have no control over, and it causes depression and issues with like work, family, all that kind of stuff. Then to me, it's an addiction, and if it's not an addiction, you still need to get help for whatever the word is for it. So that's all I have. I hope y'all have enjoyed this really long hour video. ASMR! I was being funny because my last hour video was an ASMR video, so if you like to be whispered to and hear lots of tapping, then you should go check out my Archie unboxing. I'm just saying. Anyway, I am going to take a break from my voice, so I'm not going to be able to film another video right now. I think I need to just go chill and maybe read one of the Archie books. I don't know. I'm kind of in the mood to read one of the Archie books. I think that's what I'm going to do. Even though I've been working on a different reading vlog, I kind of want to skip it and just do Archie. I'll see y'all later. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share with your friends, hit the notification bell, all the good things, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!